Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm reviewing Stardust from MiN New York. This fragrance is fantastic. I love it. I have a lot of things to say about this creative little scent, and if you'd like to know what I think, then keep watching. Most importantly, this was sent to me for free to review from the brand. I own 4 bottles from the brand. 2 of them I got from the brand, this being one of them, and the other 2 I got from a swap. This is a brand that I am very much a fan of. I like how they compose their fragrances. I like the creativity that they bring to their scents, and Dahab is just outstanding scent. Any other reviews I have of this house, I will link them below if you'd like to check them out. The other thing I wanted to say too, actually 2 things quick. If you're wondering why I have my hair in like little juvenile pigtails, it is deep conditioning day for my hair, so I have some leave-in conditioner in it, and it's usually pigtails, so I'm very sorry for this mess, but you know, I think you'll survive. The other thing is when it comes down to these fragrances, and when I mean these fragrances, I mean niche scents that aren't like luxury corporate niche scents, you know, like Amouage, Raja, Clive Christian, Zerjoff, those types of scents. Ones that are more independent luxury niche fragrances that have a more creative spin to their lineup. There is something about their compositions that I get really excited for. So the first half of this video, I'm going to be reviewing the notes, how it smells, and the performance. But there is some little spin with this fragrance that I enjoy that's very conceptual, semi-avant-garde, a little bit challenging that I enjoy. So I'm going to get a little bit chatty at the end of this video, the second half of this video. But if you didn't care about the chattiness, if you just wanted to know the note breakdown, how it smells, and it performs, you don't have to sit through my long diatribe. Anyway, let's get into the video. So there are a lot of notes in here, so let's get to the top of it. We have violet, carnation, and aldehydes. At the heart, you're going to have Egyptian jasmine, Turkish rose, and some orange flower. And at the base, you're going to have some musk, tonka bean, and oak moss. Now, you might hear aldehydes and think waxy, something very dated, especially with the jasmine and the rose and the orange blossom and the musk. It's not like a very waxy, very bright, very strong aldehydic opening. It gives it a little bit of a nice mature sparkle in the opening, but it's not an overpowering aldehydic opening that some people who look at aldehydes in fragrances might assume. This is more of a powdery fragrance, a powdery floral scent that has a denseness to it, like a soft kind of marshmallowy powderiness from the violet. Actually, it's really quite nice. But if you do not like powdery fragrances or aldehydes or floral scents, this fragrance, run away, because it is that in spades. Now, this is a shared fragrance. This is not marketed towards men or women. And I know I just said this is a powdery, soft floral fragrance, but it has a nice balance to it where it doesn't feel like it's leaning like the types of fragrances that would be marketed to women on the women's side of the fragrance counter. I like how the powdery aspects of this fragrance are coming a little bit from the violet, but more towards the tonka. It's a little bit more cozy and a little bit more skin scent, and I find that aspect of powder and scents lends itself more as a shared type of smell, note, composition, rather than maybe an iris or a violet, which can lend itself more to a very beautiful, mature, and sophisticated, more women's leaning scent. Now, you can wear whatever you want. Just because a fragrance is marketed to men or women doesn't mean that only men or women can wear these fragrances, but some people feel more confident and happy wearing fragrances that are marketed to women or men. And if you're one of those people, totally fine. But if you're the type of person and you like to wear anything and you're looking for a floral aromatic scent that has a nice mature elegance to it, This is a great scent and it smells very unisex. How this fragrance smells on the skin does mimic something dusty, and that's what I like about this. This is supposed to evoke the idea of stardust, where we all came from, so to speak, in the primordial idea of, you know, bursting stars and our atoms kind of coming together and oozing and coming together to create whatever we are, whatever you decide to be, spiritual, existential, physical, religious, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever you believe is fine. But the idea of this fragrance is that we're all connected, and we're all connected through stardust, through the universe. And this is what this smell is. And I think that's awesome. And I like the dusty aspect of this. I like that candy-like violet softness that the violet and the tonka gives you. This fragrance is going to smell mature. It's not going to smell dated. It's going to smell floral, but it's going to smell more floral aromatic and not so much floral like funeral flowers or the type of floral fragrances that a woman might wear if she's going on a date or something romantic, or to rose or to jasmine or to white flowers or things like that. It's a nice banquet and bouquet of various flowers that come together that are softened and kind of smoothed out with the tonka and the musk. And at the end of the day, you're getting something that does smell kind of semi-chic with this coziness that it just kind of warms up on your skin. It smells kind of fuzzy, a little bit fuzzy, very chic, very beautiful and soft and powdery. And I like that. Now, some powdery fragrances can pull kind of medicinal. They can pull baby wipe. They can pull dental office if it's a little bit too sweet, or sometimes it can pull a little bit too salty. This doesn't pull that at all. To me, it smells more like something very soft, very skin scent, very sexy, a little bit dry and dusty, slightly ozonic, a little tiny bit ozonic in the background, but I would say that there's a fresh spiciness just that elevates it a little bit and doesn't make it smell too stale. And what I mean by stale is sometimes with powdery fragrances, they can mimic stale lipstick, stale cosmetics, stale talcum powder, makeup, medicinal types of smells. And as much as I love those, not everybody does. So the little tiny bit of fresh, spicy muskiness in the background does lighten that load and doesn't make it smell too stale. And the aldehydes in the opening does give this a little tiny bit of brightness, a little tiny itty bitty, little tiny bit of waxiness, just a little bit. It's not waxy, it's not like a fatty, waxy aldehydic opening, but a little tiny bit of waxiness in the opening, which I think adds a nice balance to the composition. If you enjoy aromatic floral fragrances, if you enjoy mature, very sophisticated scents, if you like powdery scents, slightly ozonic scents, dusty, dry fragrances, or aromatic floral fragrances, this is a fragrance worth checking out because it ticks all of those boxes in a way that is very well balanced, very well blended, and smells really nice on the skin. It can be a bit challenging at times in a way that powdery, slightly ozonic, dry, dusty fragrances can, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. I do like the balance that this fragrance has. It's also a very long-lasting fragrance, and to be completely honest, when looking at the notes, I would demand that this be a long-lasting fragrance. I get about 6 to 8 hours on my skin with a moderate projection and sillage, which means that if somebody is social distancing, they will be able to at least pick up small whiffs of florals and tonka and a little bit of the oak moss in there too. It'll smell really nice at a distance or close up. It's not going to be an intimate fragrance, it's not a beastly fragrance, but it does leave a little bit of a sexy little sillage-y trail, and it does have some projection to it, so it won't just hide in the folds of your clothes. People will be able to smell it who are standing a few feet away. So overall, if you enjoy powdery, soft, aromatic floral fragrances and you're looking for a more unisex version of that, Stardust from this fantastic brand is worth at least going out of your way to get your nose on or check out a sample or a decant. As always, I don't recommend you guys blind buying anything based off of strangers on the internet. Try on your skin first. But if you do enjoy those types of fragrances and you are a huge fan, this is worth checking out. Now that I reviewed it, let's go into the chat. I'm going to reiterate that this was sent to me for free to review, but they asked me what bottle, what fragrance I wanted to try. And whenever a brand does that, I get so happy and excited because it gives me the opportunity to kind of really explore the notes, the breakdown, the creative concept. Sometimes not every brand has a creative concept, and that is completely okay. But with brands like this, they do, and they stick very true to it. And when I was reading the creative prompt, when I read the notes and I read some of the reviews, I was like, yes, I need to try this fragrance. So I had not tried this fragrance, or if I had tried it, I tried it like when it first came out in like 2019, I don't remember. But I was excited because first, I love powdery fragrances in all of its varieties. I like it when it smells like stale old lipstick that, you know, you found in your grandma's purse and her purse has been in her closet for 40 years. I love the way that smells. Not everyone likes that, and I understand. I love that. I love the dusty, ozonic, really beautiful, dry type of powdery fragrance, powder and dust that Yana did with S&P Parfums. Her vision with that scent was absolutely beautiful when it comes down to a beautiful, dusty Stardust fragrance. Absolutely gorgeous scent. Tomalise, Yana Tomalise, that fragrance is absolutely beautiful. And then you have fragrances that evoke the violet and the iris and the soft suediness of the powder. And then you have the more talcum powders, and then you have the more marshmallow powders, the more sweet powders. There's a variety of different ways you can take soft iris and pair it with gourmands. There's so many different ways that you can create a beautiful soft powdery fragrance. I love dusty fragrances. I love dry fragrances. I love ozonic fragrances. I love fragrances that mimic something that is cosmic. I very much do. I'm all about that. So when I read the notes, when I read the prompt, when I read the reviews, and when I saw the note breakdown, especially when I saw like violet and aldehydes, and I saw like oak moss at the bottom, I was like, I really want to see how this brand is going to create this type of scent. So this was the one that I chose. So one thing that I like about this fragrance is that it has that dusty, soft, powdery feel to it. And the way that it can smell sometimes can almost smell like the top of a plastic baby doll's head. And I don't know if that makes sense. It doesn't smell plastic. And what I mean by that is it doesn't smell chemically or synthetic. And I know, people are gonna be like, what the heck does that mean? And I've talked about this before. If I say something smells like chemicals or synthetic, it usually means it smells like an air freshener or something that you don't put on your skin, like a chemical, like maybe sometimes, you have a bug spray that's lemony fresh. You don't put that on your skin. But then there are these types of aroma chemicals that might not smell natural, but they smell really good on the skin. So I'm saying something smells chemical. I'm not saying that it's like an aroma chemical. I'm saying it smells like Raid. But what I like about this scent specifically is that dry, kind of dusty, powdery, soft, sweet, semi-Tonka violet blend lends itself to kind of take me on a scent journey of when I was younger and I had plastic toys. So I had these, and I still do this. If you take me to any store that has kitchen, like kids toy food, I will smell that food every time. That is a scent memory for me that I love. That is one of my favorite smells, is specific, that soft plastic food smell. There's something sweet about it. There's something powdery about it. It does not smell, it smells freaking amazing to me, and it makes me so happy. And this does not smell like that, but in the background, in that soft, powdery, sweet, dry dustiness, it reminds me of that, and I love that. It's something very personal that I enjoy, so I'm very biased towards that, and that's something that when I first wore this the first few times, I was real excited for. I was real excited for that. This is semi-challenging because it is powdery, and it's powdery in a way that people might not quite be able to wrap their heads around. I think people understand powdery fragrances in that stale lipstick, stale cosmetics like my Powder Compact, my grandma's lipstick. I think people understand because they are familiar with those smells. And so it's not an unfamiliar smell. They may like it or dislike it, but it's not alien to them. And then other people might be very familiar with that powdery, kind of sweet, chemically medicinal smell of like baby wipes. And that can still smell amazing when done correctly, fresh and clean and soapy. And when balanced right, it smells really, really good. This isn't any of those, actually. And I like that it's the Tonka has that kind of cozy, semi-chic, shared unisex, like skin scent, soft powderiness. And I love Tonka in fragrances because it smells so sexy on the skin, and it's got that soft sensuality that translates really well on more casual fragrances, more luxury fragrances, more formal fragrances. It's just such a fantastic note, especially when it's utilized properly and balanced. And it can be balanced classically, and it can be balanced creatively. And in this fragrance, it's a little bit more creative. Now, if I were to put this side by side with any other fragrance, I'm not going to say that it is identical in absolutely no way. No way whatsoever. But the conceptual idea of how this fragrance smells and performs way better than its Hot Libre d'Orange and Ghost in the Shell fragrance. But how it smells in regards to being a little bit more modern, futuristic, so to speak, it goes a little bit different, a little bit more, I don't want to say higher level, because I'm really not sitting here saying that this is like some earth-shatteringly creative, like plastic smelling cyborg skin scent, like a Hot Libre d'Orange's Ghost in the Shell. And some people love that fragrance. Some people were very disappointed in that scent. I particularly loved it, but I also was a huge fan of the entire Ghost in the Shell line. We won't get into that. I can go into the philosophy of that. We won't get into that. I initially wanted to name, because you can name our cars. When we got our new car, we got a Model Y that's blue. I wanted to name it Tachikoma. My husband said no, just to let you guys know how much I love Ghost in the Shell. Anyway, except we can't give our car oil, so anyway, off topic. What I like about this and with that scent is there's something about it that's slightly alien. There's something about this that's slightly outer spacey, and it's supposed to be, because obviously Stardust. And what that is I think it's the slight little tinge of waxiness from the aldehydes with the oak moss. Gives you this kind of earthly, grounded, like here is like earth. And you get the earth. And then the Tonka and the musk is giving you this idea of like, woohoo. This is why nobody watches my videos. It's totally okay. It gives you these kind of more feeling of fumes, so to speak. It's more light, it's more ethereal, it's more airy, it's more effervescent. I know you guys love it when YouTube content creators use the word effervescent. Yeah, that's what the oak moss and the aldehydes do, specifically the waxiness in the aldehydes. It offers a slight bit of fresh spiciness, which gives it a little something to hold on to. And what I love, again, is these florals with this beautiful aromatic soft, powdery, again, violet, and just this absolutely beautiful tonka. And that gives it this slight dusty, semi-ozonic, soft powderiness, which again kind of mimics this dusty, cosmic smell. And again, we're talking more of this conceptual, creative idea of this fragrance. I already gave you a review of how this fragrance smells. But from a conceptual standpoint from a fragrance, in regards to picking notes, telling a story with scent, telling a story with smell, this is something that this brand does that I greatly enjoy. And this is why I wanted to talk a little bit more about it. And I think that they did it really well with Stardust, because it does smell dusty, it does smell ozonic, it does smell slightly modern, futuristic. And I guess that's kind of like what I was trying to say with Ghost in the Shell from État Libre d'Orange. Even though it doesn't smell like a science lab, what they were trying to conceptually create with Ghost in the Shell, I understood and I appreciate it. Not everyone did. That's okay. I think everyone's correct in whatever they think, especially with that scent. With this one, I think it's more successful, to be completely honest, because it has that dustiness, it has that dryness, it has that cosmic, ozonic coolness to it, but it has a sexy, cozy, powdery softness to it as well. That chicness that kind of brings you down and grounds you to earth, again with that oak moss and that slight waxy aldehydes. It's just really fantastic. It's really beautiful scent. And you don't need to think that deep into it. You absolutely do not. You can smell it and smell something cozy and chic and aromatic and a little bit ozonic and dusty. And here's this oak moss, and here's this little bit of waxy aldehydes in the opening. And here's this musk that's really, really nice. You definitely don't have to think that deep into this fragrance. But if you like conceptual, creative prompts with fragrances, and you like to dissect that and see if you think that the brand themselves was successful with this creative prompt, I like to do that from time to time. And when I was choosing this fragrance, that was one of the reasons why I chose this fragrance. I wanted to see if they would be able to pull off a Stardust fragrance, and I think they did. And I like how it feels very grounded to earth, but also ethereal and cosmic and modern, but also timeless and mature and elegant and beautiful. It's a gorgeous fragrance, especially if you love those powdery, dusty, slightly ozonic scents. And again, I think that everything chosen in this fragrance is really, really beautiful. It's very, very well done. And I think it's really great. But again, do remember, this was sent to me for free to review, and I did get to choose whatever fragrance I wanted. So obviously I was biased towards the composition and the notes and the creative prompts. So take with this whatever you would like. But that is my review, my very long review of Stardust. And if you have any thoughts on this fragrance, if you tried this fragrance or other fragrances from this brand, positive or negative, I'd love to know what you think in the comments section below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye!